and on a yeshivish Sugyos, just says when Yaakov Avinu was sleeping, we said it over here in the shul, he was Ve'ikatz Yaakov Mishnosai, he was Ve'ikatz Yaakov, Zok the Balaturim, is Mi Mishnosai, Sho Yehoige B'Torah, even B'Shah Shinosai. So the Balaturim Lake 2, it says, those who are Hoige B'Torah B'Yoim are Cholim the Torah Balayla. If you're learning Torah B'Yoim, so then you think about it even Balayla. I think maybe there's also a Avodah Taich. Laila is also Masamel when times are not clear, when there's lacking of clarity. There's a Munoschas Baleilois. Baleilois is when there's a lack of clarity. When you learn Torah, when it's Gishmak, and you learn Torah when it's during the Siddharim, and when everything is set up for you, then you learn Torah even when you find even extra time to learn. So Baruch Hashem, we come together, come Motzei Shabbos, we have a schus to hear from the Gedolei Talmidei Chachamim, the Lomdim, the Marbitzei Torah. It's a special schus for us. It's a schus for me to ask the Rosh Hashiva Shlita.
Go on. And the schus Avada is mine. I'm happy that Cinnamon called me. It's a big schus to tell me what he's doing. And Motzei Shabbos, that the Olam should come, or whoever calls in, the Olam should come and want to have a shiur. So many activities we could do on Motzei Shabbos and learn Daf HaYomi. I want to have a iyun on Daf HaYomi. I think it's a gewaldige Kiddush Hashem. We're talking the Sugya. We called it the Indian of Vitur and Mudar Hanoah, and we have it here at the beginning of Ein Ben HaMudar, and really the Gemara will bring it again at the end of HaShutfin. The Mishnah said that Ein Ben HaMudar Noah L'chaver L'Mudar Meichel El L'Trisas HaRegel. The Mishnah mentioned that Mudar Hanoah has the Maila Chumrah, we should say, of Trisas HaRegel. Mudar Hanoah B'chaver, everything is asa, even trespassing. What's the Chiddush of Trisas HaRegel? For the round is mashmi said a lotion afagav the lekabdi bo inchi. Lekabdi bo inchi means it's a dover that nobody's makbid. The mal people are not makbid on that. The chorah the taich is it doesn't have a shem hanoah. Muda hanoah is to be a choshev hanoah. It's not a hanoah. It's something that not makbid on. People come in. That wasn't given to you. Didn't have hanoah. That's the chorah the taich. The Gemara says that this that we're answering it anyways, even though the chorah is not a choshev, it's not really a hanoah because it's not choshev. It's only Rebbe Elazar. I mean, according to the Chachomim of Rebbe Elazar's takamuta, Trisas HaRegel is mutter. It's taka not hanoah. But Rebbe Elazar holds vita as asa. It stated in the Gemara. Rebbe Elazar manama vita as asa. Rebbe Elazar holds vita, something in mavater on is asa. So the Mishnah be Rebbe Elazar, and in halacha Rebbe Elazar counts a lot. The shaila is, and what is Rebbe Elazar speaking about? Just Pashup Pshat. So Ran explains, he's talking about something else. Rebbe Elazar about vitur, lagabi amoicha and alekeach, that you're selling, let's say, a bushel of peris, you don't count out each peri and don't give any extra for the lekeach. Which be'etzem, as the Rosh explains over here, is good business policy, because then it won't come back. So Mamela, the minig is to be mavater. From my own, I don't mind that it wasn't really sort of paid for. It's over the mecher, but that's fine. And people do that. So the shal gabi muda hanoah. In a mekach, which is allowed, which is Rami al Ape, we call it before Rami al Ape, a mecher which betzim would be allowed mitzad the mecher. It's something which I need to sell. So it's not, I'm not being mahana lekeh, I'm mahana myself by selling it. But now I'm selling, I'm giving over the price. I'm giving them extra. So the Ran says, Rebbe Elazar holds, Vitur is Asur. Vitur is Asur. Masiva like Shaloichem Peres, Avagav Dasvina the Rami Alape. Hilkuch Trisas HaRegel. Agud like Kapti. The Chachamim hold, you can give him more Peres. Because you're not being Mahanem, I'm doing it for my business. You know, it's better for me. I don't mind giving it. And Akapanim, I do it to lekeach. Not everybody. A lekeach. So Melozer's machmir. What's the shaykhs? The two things have nothing to do with each other. The dinner of Vitor, of Jesus Arega, we're calling it Vitor, but that's a Vitor with Chson and the Hanor. The Hanor is not a Choshev Hanor, l'chora, because it's something nobody's makbid on, period. But here, Avada, the extra payers of Avada Choshev Hanor, normally would be Avada Hanor, what's a Shaila? I'm doing it for my Toyelas Ki'ilu on the lake for Lekeach, I'm not makbid. I don't not makbid for Lekeach. That's a special thing, l'chora, where I'm doing it for my Toyelas, so maybe it's mutter, it's not called being Mahana. If then over there, what's the Shaila Balaz and the Chacham? But what's the Gemara making it Sushtel? Between the Balaza of Avitor of Mecha and Balaza, therefore, Jesus of Egel is also what Shaykhs. It's a Tzvei in Yonim B'chlal. Azay L'choyro asking the Sugyo that it's not at Sushtel B'chlal. But then here's Klor the Chilik. Klor Chilik. The Turei Even does touch on this Chilik in Megillah, in the Ein Bein Amuders, we have again this Jesus Ein Bein. Mudano, in Achila. But he asks another kasha over there, besides this kasha. He says he doesn't understand. The Ran says, because the Kapti Inchi, by the Jesus Regal, that's the reason why it's mutter. So, for the Turei Even, you're not allowed to be nehena from a chayfetz that's also bano, even if it's a dover de lekapti inchi. It's still called a hano. L'moshel. By Avigdor state, by Asherah, l'yesha b'tzila, for l'yava tachtah. You can't sit in the shade of a church. You can't just sit over there. It's not, you can't have hano from a base of Avigdor. Sitting in the shade is not something that kapti inchi either. It's for sure not kapti inchi. Also, ben kodesh, ben chol kodesh, he says by kodesh is also that way. That by kodesh, by the Beis HaMikdash, such things of others are no also. L'moshel is the Gemara Psachim. The Gemara had him Psachim by Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. If you remember, Sheyosha b'tzila shel heichal v'dorash. That was the sugya of Efshe v'leikom achaven. Dovshem achaven. Yeah, the sugya. The Gemara brought down Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was that leinim achaven, Efshe v'leikom achaven, that he sat in when he gave the drasha, and a lot of people, they sat in the shade of the Beis HaMikdash. And the Gemara talks about that should have been Asur. In fact, the Turei Even, who's at Medach, sitting in the shade is considered Anoah. And Trisha Seregel is not. What's the answer like Kapti and she? Does fact the Turei Even Afaran.
It's not Muder Ano.
Okay? Not.
Over there is Isra Ano.
By the Zora. What should make the chilik though? What should make the chilik though? That's the chilik. I'm not the chilik. The chilik is good. What's the machalik? It's by nafkamina though. To Evan's tiny by nafkamina, but you see from there, Hanoah doesn't measure itself. Smetzachnish mit kapeda. Hanoah measures with kapeda. Lamaisa, you out of know. What's nafkamina? People are usually mavater on it and they're not makpid and they give it away. They don't mind. So what?
Well, Muda Hanoah is totally incomplete. That's the difference. What are the
He's asking what's the svara?
What's the difference?
What's the svara?
What's the machalik? What's the machalik? What wants? What the man?
What he has to be taken?
The nether wants. It's totally.
Oh, in other words, that's very. Oh, you machav mamish at Turei Even, gewaldig. So the Turei Even answers that lule diviran. That means he's saying. I'm not saying. He's saying those status around my svara. The Ran said that because inshallah kabdi. It sounds like from the Ran, that itself is the svara. It's not chashuv. That he says is very shver. But he says that you can learn differently. It's totally in the das of the noider. That's what it means, the das of the noider. The darim are totally in the das of the noider. So b'meila we could say that a noider doesn't have in mind to answer something which he's mavater on. Something that he's mavater doesn't have in mind to make a neder on. And that could be a shaila, it's just a shaila and das, but the other, I guess, between the Balaz and the Chacham, would be a shaila and das, but the other. If taka, a person has that in mind or not. So, according to the Turei Even, I guess the Tushtal would be this. By both cases, by the Peiris and by the Mecher and by the Trisha Seregel, it's something that I would be mavater on. It's different viters, b'chlal. One of them, I'm not mak, but the one I'm doing it, that's my business. But the point is, if something that I would be mevater for whatever reason, when I made the Isa, no, I didn't have that in mind. I didn't have that in mind. I guess so. So our first shaila, that it's not a tzushtel, it's a little better now. Still not exact, really, in the Das B'nai Adam, but it's a tzushtel at least, episode tzushtel. And he said he's being chaylik on the Rano, but Lamai said that's how we would learn pshat, and Melfanfet from Avodah Zarah. That would be the pshat. On that I had a kasha. The kasha is from Taka, the end of Ashutfin. We'll speak it out, because today the Gemara is going to mention the Balaza again. It's not going to be an exact Sefer Balaza, the Ran says it's not. But I'm going to say what it says in the Gemara and the Ran. There, in the end of Ashutfin, he's speaking about Agudah Menor Chaver Ve'en Le Ma'yoichal Noisne La'acher L'shum Matona V'aloi Muter Bo. Noisne La'acher L'shum Matona V'aloi Muter Bo. It's called Kniyah Manas L'Hakdus in the Gemara. Kniyah Manas L'Hakdus is a shaila. It's like a Kinyan Suda. The Gemara brings the Indian of Kinyan Suda as well. Kniyah L'Hakdus means I'm not giving it to you. You have no schus in it. I'm giving it to you for one reason. I'm giving you a kinyan. I'm an aslaktis tiyanim. That in of Sudar might be like that. The shaila is when you do Sudar and you give the person in the hachzeh, could he keep it? Or no, I didn't give it to you for that. I gave it only for the kinyan Sudar. So we compare it to that. And the Mishnah is telling you that a shaila, that maybe you could do that for a mudar anoah, and the Mishnah itself brings a shaila about it if it's okay or not. Could you do that for a mudar anoah? If I want to give him anoah, can I give it to someone else and tell him, I'm an aslaknis to the person that's mudar anoah for me? Now, I didn't give it to him straight, I gave it to the person in between, but I really gave it to him only to give it to the animal. That's the shaila. So the Gemara over there, Shtel Surah Balazar, in this shaila. And the Gemara says, that could be, this is also, totally in the, Kilu Balazar would be machmer over here also. So he would talk a hold that you can't do it. So the Ran there says that has nothing to do with Vitor, mamish nothing to do with Vitor, but the lashon of the Ran is like this: that lav the shayach hachadin Vitor, it's mamish at the end of the parak, eladimyan ba'al manakte. The chihechi the machmer abalaza ben adorim tvei mi bedine mamanis. Ila bedine mamanis dvisa seragel sharia, velesbe mishum gezel, veilu muda ano bichaveroi also likonis bechatzeroi. Hachanami nehi the kniyah manas laktus linyadina kani. It is a kinyan mishum chumad in a dar min kani. So he says the balaza is not the case of Vita at all, but the balaza is machmer by Vita on something which medine mamanis are not really gezel. Because you can walk into my field and it's not gezel, you're allowed to do it. People aren't machmir. But in Adoram is machmir. Still it's called mudar anoah. There's huadin over here, kniyah manas l'hakdus. Huadin mean not the same case, but you see that it's machmir and mudar anoah. Is epis machmir. Everything is also, every anoah. So here too, even though I am doing it through someone else, but I didn't mamish give it to the other person, it's only a manas l'hakdus. So in a way I was ma'ana the other person, so Mela Belaz would hold it also. So Belaz is being moed, that's not a tzushtel, but the Belaz of the machmir would be machmir here too. He mentioned that dine mominus is not really a problem, and there also dine mominus is called the kinyan fiyana, but we don't measure mudar anoah and dine mominus. That's the kud he's taken from Belaz. It doesn't measure itself with dine mominus and mudar anoah. Okay, we'll get to that sugya, and Magachir and Afiyim, whoever you are, will have to explain the Indian. My kasha is, to Evans Svara, I was trying to bring in such an Indian over here. If the Shaila of Belazar was pure, Das B'nai Adam, and Belazar held in Das, the Chachamim held Das B'nai Adam, it doesn't include it. And the Belazar said, Das B'nai Adam is to include everything. It's nothing to do with Kedavah. It's nothing to do with there wasn't a Shaila of a Mudar Anoah if he had it in mind. It's not things in Mavater, it's an Eitzah. Mamash no Shaykhis. It's not even Indian that Belazar's Machmer B'chlal. Two questions. Aleph, I'm asking this b'chalal that it's Sushot Belazar. It's not Das B'nai Adam that you could say I include things of Mavater, not Mavater at all over there. It's not like Mecher, I give extra to like Echad. It's not like Yusar Egel. It's a different Inyan b'chalal. Ba'etzem, I did make a kinyan with the person in between, but it's not it's a kinyan only to give it to Yanim, so it's only a Eitzah. In Hilchas Mormos it's called an in between, but if a Mudar, no, it's not. No Shaykhs b'chalal. You can't. Then the second thing is, but okay, it's anyway not a tliya. Yeah.
So why is that shver?
Yeah, I'll tell you. So we say, but the Belaz is machmer muda no. So obviously the first question is, okay, it's machmer muda no, but it has to be a machmer on something about hilchus muda no. It's just hilchus das b'nei adam, not muda no. That's my first comment. The second shaila is, why is he a machmer? Why is he a machmer? I don't know anyway. Lefida Turi Even, what is the machlekes of Belaz Chachamim? It's machlekes of Metzias and das b'nei adam. We try always to avoid that. The Rav said in Yeshiva Shashir, we always tell the Talmud that we try to avoid that. It should be a machlekes and das b'nei adam. Unless the Gemara says b'feirish, we try to avoid that. Das b'nei adam, make a survey. The shver tzemach and azam machlekes. Most machlekes was a chum anyway. Okay, I don't know, but let's say okay, Belaz holds das b'nei adam is to answer everything, and the chum holds it's not. Where's he machmer? I'm machmer. He holds das b'nei adam. What's it the machmer given? So he's machmer there, so he'll be machmer, but can he have slackness? It's not a sushto, but it has to be a chotcha chumrah that you can say he's a machmer. Where's he a machmer? Where's a machmer? What is machmer given? Agudah holds it, das included das b'nei adam. So, it's very schwer. I couldn't settle this sugya lefida Turi Even.
He holds as long as a reasonable person can think that this is part of it, then it becomes part of it. So he's machmer. So then the person could think this is part of it. He's also machmer.
No, that I'm not masking to. In the beginning of the neder, what I included, you could talk about das b'nei adam, but not when I want to be mach. That's not up to the person how he thinks of it. It has to be b'shas neder if he has it in mind or not to answer it. But we don't ask the person. This is good muda. No, we don't ask him. That doesn't make it how the person looks at it. The Chazal have to tell you lamdish how to look at it.
I'm not sure if this is what you're saying, but is it possible that it's not mechlekes metzias, it's mechlekes a how weit we're chayshish?
Maybe it was like a suffix. That's a possibility. I thought about it. It's a possibility. It's not klor the das b'nei adam, and he's more machmer. It's definitely a possibility. No, you can learn that way. Yes. Can I say something? Yeah, that would be an answer for the Turi Even. And what machlekes b'klal is, and they say he's machmer. I don't know if he had a suffix. Maybe I don't know. I'm not sure either. He's a machmer in the dorm. If he wasn't sure about das b'nei adam, so wasn't sure about das b'nei adam, I could have machmer sein. It didn't sound like that. It sounded like it was etzem din. But we're going to move on from the Turi Even because the Akiva Eiger has a different mahalach b'chlal. They're coming on Turi Even's kasha, but it's fa'efet, and the B'chonin Bava Basra speaks that according to Akiva Eiger, the Turi Even's kasha is not shver. You have a different shot over here in the Muda No. Akiva Eiger is an ashutfin. He's coming to ask a kasha on that Mishnah, which he can't go into. B'chonin does go into it, Bava Basra. But this is what the Akiva Eiger says. When they get Muda No. The Akiva Eiger says like this: Avada, if you answer a chayfetz, on someone, the nechasim, if the schal on the nechasim the neder, it's poshut that Jesus HaRav is also. It's poshut that it's also. V'wadin by the mecher also. It's poshut that Vitor is also. Avada, because it's a hana. And it means it's not different taka than Sila Shal Avigdor or Lahavdil Sila Shal Beis Hamikdash. If the Chayfetz is also Avada, that's Hanor. No, Zoti B'Kiva Eiger Belozet Gemeint an ander Zach. He's not speaking about that. He's really speaking about the Indian of Muda Hanor Mechaveroi, from Chaver himself. The Ran in Aflaman Aleph from an Aleph at the end of Arbon Adora made the Chilik. The Ran said there's two ways to make the Muda Hanor. One is from the Chafetzim, and one is from the Kufa Adam. Ram made an afkamina if you buy Chafetzim later. If I make a Muda enough, I can't have enough from somebody's Nechasim, but if he gets Nechasim later, it's not included. But if you make a Muda enough, Chaveri Isay Zakteran, but Chaveri Isay, that's a different neder. If it's in the Chosay Alecha, and also the Weiss and the Chav Shoyel Weiss Shah, Ilchilufeyan, Abanosa Chavera, Isur Bano, Didei Talia, Ila Isay Boilam. So Akiva Eiger, Rebbe Loz is only speaking about that. If you would answer to the Chosim, Avada Gevis, it's poshut that it's going to be also. There's no shaila about that. Avada Tvisa Vagel will be also. But if you knew that no mechaveroi, so that means to say that the person himself, he can't be mahanami. And there he says, a Vitor could be mutter. Ad kan dever b'Kiva Eiger. A whole different mahalach. That means Lefizah, Turi Even is right in his halach. It's pasha that way, that it's also. But Manuda no mechaveira, the nechasim is only a chetimtza to give the hana. It's not the nechasim themselves. Even if I benefit from you, the peiros or the trisas regal, but it's not. That's not also. The chutz is not also. It's not the peiros that also. I'm also from you. You can't be mahanami. You're the chefzer d'isura here, the person that he said you can't have enough for me. So he's chefzer d'isura for that mother. So you say by a vitor, maybe that's not called like a chav. That's not called being mahanayu. I didn't go out of my way. I would do it for anybody. I would do it for anybody, whether it's for a mecher, for any lekeach, or drisas regal. I did something special for you. A machzor Avigdor and shoykol shikol. I do something for you, a toiva. Okay, maybe that's a hanor that I'm being mahanayu. But giving you something that I would give anybody or any lekeach, maybe it's not going out of my way for you. So loyte chachamim, that's the heter. The heter is if lekab the inchi, not that it's not hanor. It's not hanor mechaveroi. Doch go nish getan. That is mahanagivan. The fear b'kivega. First of all, we can hear a shaila why it should be mutter, and it's sushtel between the inyanim of the Mishnah, Jesus Haregal, and the Meicher. It's all inyanim which he's not going out of his way. Liyotza chutz midark, and it's totally in that. If I'm being mahanayu, that's what I hear. Fear b'kivega. So it's under mahalach, and the kashas for the two heavens.
Hashem came by Avodah Zarah.
It's by Avodah Zarah. As the Rabbi said, by Avodah Zarah, it's good that you're married to Befiros. By Avodah Zarah, Avodah the Chefz is also. The Avodah Zarah is also. It's Hanoah. By Beis Hamikdash also, it's the Chefz of the Hektish that's also. So Avodah, you can't have that yet. So it wouldn't be a Shah. Avodah Vita there is also. Klora b'kivega. The Shah is what's Rabbi Loz's svara. That's the Chacham Matakamate, like what's the Machlekes. The Ran just mentioned over there at the end of Ashutfin that we find the Beloz over here also is a Machmir in the Durham. And he mentioned when Bakliya Masla Hakda, there was he brought the Beloz again. That's why I went to look over there. And he said, Chihechi the Machmir Beloz in the Durham Tfei B'Bedinei Mominis, the Ilu B'Dinei Mominis, Jesus Haregal Sharia, V'Lesba Mishum Gezel, V'ilu Muda Ano Mechaver, also Likos Mechatzeri. What was that about? Less by Mishum Gezel, but still it's also Lefi Rebelazim. So like this, I wanted to ask Bimatzia, first of all, a Shaila. What will be the halacha later Belazim? I said it could be the Chashim halacha. Let's say I have a bakery, okay, and somebody is passing by and he enjoys the smell of the fresh, the fresh baked products. So he's sniffing and this, and he's a muda. Can he enjoy the smell of my bakery? I'm sorry. But the B'kivega just made a chilik. If I asked the bakery on him, Avada not. Like on Pesach, it says you have to be careful. If you're walking by a bakery, a goyish bakery on Pesach, you can have anof on the chometz. It's a big shaila. You have to have the lemechaven over there. But so if I asked the food on him, he can't have anof from it. But let's say it's a muda no mechaver. So what would be over there? Is there any problem with smelling the hanoah from the food?
It's not his to us.
But using that nusach already is a problem because I didn't answer the chayfetz. I answered me.
But you have the right to tell me.
And therefore, saying good. And therefore, I'm not being mahanayu, right? I'm not being mahanayu. I have to be mahanayu through my nechasim. The nechasim knows I'm also, but I'm being mahanayu by the allowance. The vitur is how I'm being mahanayu. I'm being mavater on something that be'etzem I could be mak of you. People are not mak with a Jewish regel, and don't have to ask me permission. Less than mishum gezel means you don't have to ask me rishus. It's a chazaka. People are not makbid. But let's say I put up a big sign, no trespassing. I have a right. Every time I can stop you. And let's say I'm a like moicher who do not mavater a penny ever. So I say to the lekeah that I measure it and I say I'm not giving you one extra apple, not negeah. HaRav, I have a right to do that. Now, when you come, and you're a regular person, regular lekeah, or you're a regular person, and you're walking in the Munano's field, each time he's being mavater, he's being mahanayu by not being ma'akev his mominus from you. That's what the Beloza holds. The Indian of Iter is a Dovid Ole Kapti, but I have a schus to be makbid. I have a right. And I'm not being makbid. Every single time I'm giving you anor that I could have stopped you, I have a right, and I'm not. L'moshel, by the bakery, I could stop and walking the street and smelling my baked products, Avada not. There, Avada will be mutter. Avada, unless I ask the chayfetz on you. But otherwise, Avada be mutter. Because I don't have, like I said, I don't have a right. I don't have a right to stop anybody from smelling. So Mamela, I'm not allowing you to smell. I don't have a right to stop you. That's what the round men in the Shutfin, a David les mishum gezel, he meant it's not gezel if you do it, but it is my mominus, and I let you have it. So Mamela, it's a chasar and a muda no. If it's mitzad and a chasar, like we said, it's poshet that's also. But mitzad muda no, a David that I have is a chusin, and I don't stand on my zechus, that's where the problem arises. That's what I would say. So I'm saying like halacha. The chazam avada would be also because
to smell the
avada like on Pesach when it says that to walking by a bakery and enjoying the fresh baked products is a big problem because the chametz is also bano and you're having anor from reyach. So the shaila of loyashav loykom machav unless you didn't have a different way. You're in the airport. It's a shaila in the airport. And people avoid airports. Sometimes you're in the airport and there's a bakery there, but I'm not being mechavan. I don't have a different way. That's the heter.
Even if the reyach is not his, but you're having hanof from him,
right?
From his chefza.
From the chefza. But where the chayv is a chetimtza to give you hanof, it's different. If the mutter knows mikufa on them, so then the chachamim hold its mutter because it's not called mahana you by letting you have the chayv, the drisas regal or the extra peri, because it's something that I wasn't yotzei from my megidri. It's something I would do for anybody. So it's not called mahana you. Mashaying, I didn't do any favors. But the Balaza says no. But since I could be this, I had to swear here no Balaza. But I could be ma'ak of you, al pidine mominus, and I'm not being ma'ak of you, or dos alein, it's ma'anig event. But according to what I'm saying, if you're mechaver, not from the chayfetz, but from chaverei, and he had a bakery, it's not a problem to walk by and smell the baked pot. That's not a problem. Even though the Balaza, avada be mutter.
But that's nechasim. That's his nechasim. The smell.
No, that's why.
The smell from his
nechasim. But since I can't stop you from smelling, avada will be masking that it's mutter.
But isn't it the difference if I pass by, it happens to be, or I'm going lechatchila, I want to go see.
I hear. And what would be with that?
By meches in Kilai, I'm allowed to have a no.
But again, there's the chef. So I enjoy looking at somebody in a new, beautiful house. I'm standing and I'm staring, And when people built a house in Far Rockaway after I moved, and then people, everybody doesn't come across the street. They're watching the whole time, every step of the way. And people walk in also. You ever notice? I don't know if it happens here in Brooklyn. People walk in and they look around.
Construction site.
Yeah, they want to see you whatever you're doing this. But to stand outside and I enjoy watching your beautiful structure. I can't stop anybody. So Mela, if I muda no, be mutter. There, I don't know, it would be also, anyway, that I don't know. By Beis HaMikdash, it does say that when we lowered them, the workers into the Beis HaMikdash, there shouldn't be the henna. There shouldn't be the henna, right, from the, so it could be it's also talking. It's aimed by Me'ila, but Isa there is, it's aimed by Me'ila, the Gemara says. Yeah, but Isa there is.
But why do you call it his nechasim?
The nechasim is his.
The smell is his?
If I ask, when it was mine and I answered on you, then you can't smell it.
Not over me.
But it's not your nechasim.
It is my nechasim.
The nechasim are making that raya.
Right. I made a chefza d'isur for you now. It's like a shtickle hektish. It's a la'ila. It's supposed to be a shtickle hektish. So it could be a koras. Then you can't have anof in the chayva. I have a right to turn it into an isra anof, like a dezor, like kainim. A kainim is a hektish. It's gemacht a hektish. That's what I did.
Right.
Really, I learned to make this chilik now in the Shalom, bring you from the smelling the bakery or looking at somebody's house. That's where it came from. So I want to tell you also the Rashbam. The Ran brings down that the Gemara Bava Basra, he brought it down over there in Ben Amudah because the Gemara Bava Basra spoke about that there's two types of Drisas Regals. There's the Shutfin and the Chotzer is a little bit different over there. And the Ram brought down, it's not shver because there it's only Shutfin like Kapti Adali, but regular people, yes. And he said that that's different. See, so the Gemara said in Bava Basra Hashutfin Shenodran brought down because the Shalit making a chazak and the Chatzar Hashutfin, what a person's makbid or not. And the Gemara said that Shutfin is like Kapti Adodi. Shtei Gemara Sfor, the Shutfin like Kapti Adodi. That's what the Brand broke down. That a Shutfin Shenodran will have the Perik Hashutfin. The Randim will also go into Belosa. That's Bikvegas. Speaking about that, but I can't go into Bikvegas Kasha now. But it says Asur Likonis L'chotza by Shutfin, and the Gemara has to steer by L'chor Shutfin like Kapti Adodi. It sounds like everybody else is makbid. That's what the Ram brought down over here in Ben Amudah. He said, well, it depends what. The Gemara there is speaking about not just walking by. Amida, staying for a while. Staying there, Midah, that's another story. Regular people are makbid and Shutfin are not makbid on each other. Fine. So the Gemara there says Shutfin lekapdi adodi even on Amida. Shutfin lekapdi, but legabi Shutfin, it's vital l'chora shaila vita l'chora. Should be the same type of shaila. But Shutfin, at least legabi Shutfin lekapdi adodi. So it should be the same shaila. And he said to Yevon over there, it is the same shaila. By me, it's all about das hanoider. And it goes into the same shaila. I don't have in mind for my shutfin, even if it's a stronger than it's mamish amida, I don't have in mind that either. They ask him, to Yevon himself brings the Rashbam, and the B'chana Bavabasi, that's what the Shiur is on Bavabasi, they have Nun Zayin Amid Beis, where the Rashbam is, that the Rashbam has ir at a tam. Everybody wants to know why the Rashbam said this svar. Was it the Moshe given? Rashbam gesagt azay. So he said, the kapti, regular people only should from not. But by should from this like kapti, and he says, if it wouldn't have been makbid, then if it would have been everybody not to should from, then it would be mutter for everybody too. And he said like this, like kapti, mutter lamoid b'chotza chavera, if everybody that would be makbid would be like that too. Afal pi shemuda b'menu hano, kivon do lekopid bi'amida harei hifker es hachotzer l'chol b'nei hachotzer lamed b'y. Harei hifker es hachotzer l'chol b'nei chotzer lamed b'y. He added up to the Agudah, hefker. As mafker the chotzer for everybody, for the shutfin at least to steal. If it would be everybody, it would be everybody. It happens to be it's only shutfin over here. If it would have been everybody. The Rashbam was like Ma'arav or Moisef on the Indian of Avigdor, a mafkevit to anybody who wants to do it. So they want to know why the Rashbam had to be Moisef on the Ran. They said, like, Kapti, mean Pashas Nachoshev. Wasn't the Rashbam gewollt? Not only that Yenishtikkel Turi Evan in Megillah, he asked on the Rashbam, they forgot Halacha. There's Machlekes B'Sham and B'Silu. Hefkel Aniyim V'Loy L'Ashirim. That means Hefker has to be L'chol Adam. That's called Hefker. Aniyim L'Ashirim. We all, B'Sham knows all that, they learn from Shmida. We all have to be Hefker L'chol B'Nei Adam. And Mashain Kain, B'Silu learns from Shmida, Mashain Kain learns from B'Silu. And you can't have a Hefker Aniyim V'Loy L'Ashirim. It has to be Hefker L'Kol. B'Sham also can be Hefker only to one person, or one group of people. In fact, the Tuyevin and the Rashbam, first of all, I don't know why. He says also, I'm not sure what you meant, why you added that word. Did you mean like Tehran? You meant to say more? I'm not sure what you meant. He says that maybe you're running my kasha. My kasha, how you're by Samikdash, you can't have a no, I can back no over here. Maybe trying to answer my kasha, he says, from Hefker. Maybe trying to answer my kasha. Then he says, but I don't know what you're saying. The Hefker's not a good Hefker. Hefker has to be, the English like this. Maybe Hefker comes and for mine kasha. How could you ever know the question? You want to say because he's mafker, but he can't be mafker. There's no such thing. Because over here by Shutfin, the Gemara says it works. Because really something like this, you only mafker, you only not mafker by Shutfin. Is what do you mean? To the Bnei Achosset, to the Shutfin, that's not a hefker. I can't be mafker for them. Amida. To Evan's problem with the Rashbam. So Aleph and the Rashbam is shver. Why is he Moshe? And his base, Essence can hefker. So I wanted to say, according to what we just said now, Pshan and Duran. That's not what the Rashbam meant. And Avadi didn't mean Hefker Mamish. I'm not even sure, like Tzorachim by me, the Havamid of the Turiyevin, I'm a tam on him that he learned the Rashbam Kipshutai. What was he mafker exactly? What was he mafker that he doesn't own anymore? So he's mafker something? Literally, there's like a momentous that he was mafker. What was it that he was mafker? He could still stand there. He's mafker Amida. He's mafker the walking in the chutzner. He said, but I'm mafker only to these people, not these. What am I being mafker? Hefker is usually, I have a chayfetz, and I don't want to be a bailam anymore. Or part of a chayfetz. It's not what happened over here. I'm not makbid if the shutfim, I say, are going to stand there. Why does he call that hefker? What did he mean by that? So I wanted to say, Avadi doesn't mean, what was he being mafker? The Rashbam meant, the Gemara there afterwards does mention the Balaza, but it didn't bring it here. Rashbam was trying to tell us that even if Viter is Asur, Balamaisa, it's going to be mutter anyway. That's what he wanted to say. For this you don't need the Machlegas Balaza and the Chachamim. Bir Advar, we meant it only over there, and he wanted to get around the Balaza's Shita. That was my part. There will only be the gay over there, and it shouldn't. So you have to look at the Gemara and see if it's emes what I'm saying. But that's what I had a terrace in the Rashbam. Rashbam meant that I gave up, when we became Shutfim, my right to be Ma'akiv, the other B'nai HaChotzah from going in. This din that we said, I could put up no trespassing, but I'm not. I'm allowing each person to come in. But over there, Mitchila in the Shutfis, I was mafkir that zechus, the zechus of being Ma'akiv. I can't anymore. Let's say now I want to put up a sign by the other Shutfim, no trespassing. I can't. I think it was the oifen of the Shutfis. I can't decide in the middle, I don't want any Shutfis to come in. Das given the Tanai HaShutfis. What was the Tanai HaShutfis? That nobody's being Ma'akiv on anybody this Inyan. And if I would do this on a regular Chotzer, that means when I kaina a Chotzer, and I'm mafkir the right to stop people, that means it's a schus of being mafkir, not the hefzer itself. Maybe it's a chiddush in the yoni hefker, and maybe not.
And bailus.
And bailus, even in the echos of bailus, that's the kilu, right?
Maybe that's the Torah in there.
He was asking Shiur. I'm saying, but it wasn't a real hefker because what he himself could still stand there. He didn't give up the chotzer, so what did he give up? The right to stop people. Shiur the bas, okay, the echos, the echos of bas. So there, I don't know if there's under the shah that I was asking, is there a din la'aniyim v'lo Shiur in that Indian? That's in a ma'isa hefker. This is not a ma'isa hefker. I call it a siluk. It's a siluk from a zechus, not a ma'isa hefker. The Tanai HaShudvus on Eichaz was that I don't have a zechus ikuv. From zechusim you could be misalik. You don't have to goes into the whole sugya ksubas about siluk, but a person can be misalik from zechusim. This is a zechus. I have the right to be ma'akiv, a zechus akova, and I'm giving it up. Maybe that doesn't go into the gidvei hefker of l'aniyim v'lo yeshua.
No one could be zoiche.
Right.
Maybe because no one could be zoiche, so there's no.
Right. It's not that anybody could be zoiche in it. Right. It's not anybody could. It just that's the way it is. Here by the shutfim on the chotzer, I did that also. I decided that. That was the Tanai HaShudvus. I didn't decide. They probably decide altogether. They're not going to go with how are they going to use the chotzer. So that's what.
He back down on the shutfim.
I would say he came back down.
He gave it up.
No, he gave it. I say that was a Tanai HaShudvus. I would say he gave it up. He gave up his right. Yeah. And if you would give up your right at the beginning when you buy the chotzer, I don't know. Either if you could back, maybe you could be kited again if nobody else owns it. I don't know. But shutfin is shown out. The regular chotzer, maybe you could be zoich in the schus. Maybe you're like a shutfin. I think it's a Tanai HaShudvus. I don't think without the other shutfin, I don't think you change your mind. I'll need that skama for the other shutfin. What do I mean? But again, the shot in the round and after B'kivega mean, I see from this, it could be that the Rashbam was coming to help that it shouldn't be telling the Balaza Shita. The Gemara at that point didn't bring a Balaza yet. So he was saying the din of Shutfin, you don't need a Balaza for that. That Shutfin, like Kapti Adodi, B'Shutfin, only by Shutfis, not regular Jisavagel, that's a Shutfin, you don't dafka need a Balaza. The Ran himself does handle it in Parak HaShutfin. There's a big, huge Ran there. But the Rashbam over here wanted to get around it. That you shouldn't have to come on to Rabbi Lazar. So he added the word of the Hefker. It's a word that the Rashbam added. He said, don't have to start again the Rabbi Lazar Chamu yet.
But the Ran is not masking.
Yeah, if you learn that it's not masking, but Afka. Because by Shutfim on each other, by Chisarregel there, he does at the end bring Rabbi Lazar. Yeah. But that's without this Indian of the Hefker. There was a mouth betasm to Metzias. The Rashbam brought it in because he didn't want to get involved in Belazar. So it was like an Eitzah for the Rashbam. But the Vala, I learned the whole Yisayt from the Rashbam. Why? This helped me in the Pshat before. That means to say, the whole Isur of Vito Leiter Belazar was based on the fact that I'm giving you Anor, the Gufa Adam, by not being Ma'akev. By not being ma'akev on my nechosim that I could be ma'akev, das ist the ganze Muda Ano over here. That's the ganze Wort. So B'meila, the Rashbam is tiny, if it's something which you don't have a koyach, so we gave a marshal by the smelling of the bakery and watching my beautiful binyan, that I have no right to be ma'akev you, so B'meila, I can't answer you. That I can't answer. It's not called being mahana. The Rashbam found another Eitzah, and if I'm a salik for my zechus ikuv, it's the same thing. But now I can't stop you. If I would do it for everybody, or I do a kapanim for the shut for each other, I can't stop each other. We can't stop each other. End of story. That's the end of the story. So Mamela, once I'm being masalik for my zechus, it becomes like smelling my bakery. It's asach, I can't stop you anyway. So again, if I would ask the nechasim on the person, that's what Bikivegas Taina Avada would be also. It's not going to help him mistalik my schus, but I still have a bailus enough to answer. I was almost from stopping you. But the chayfetz is also. The chotzer is also on you. You can't walk here because the chayfetz is also. And Bikivegan is in Perak HaShutfin, is the Mishnah is there, then he fears always when they get Perak HaShutfin Daka. Will be Dosra Avada. But if you're going, if the Iran would be, if you're going by, like Bikivegan said, by Mudar Ano, it's the good for Adam. So we said, so what's the Rabbanan holds? Takamunta. I'm not going out of the way to be mati. That was the word. That's the floor of the Rabbanan. And Loiter Beloza, the Ran would say that Loiter B'Kivega. So we had a new svara. It's true that I'm not going out of my way, but in a way, every time I let you stand in my chotzer, I let you take an extra peri lokeach. I just gave up a right that I had al pidine mominus. I don't have to give you the peri. I don't have to let you go in the chotzer. So my nechasim themselves are not also me. I didn't do anything special for you, but my allowance, meaning my not using my rights of making it into gezel, in itself, so is that called ano? Los holds yes. So he said, but only if I have a right. Comes Rashbam and Zayin Eitzah. Even if I have a right, but if I'm mafki the right, I'm back to the same thing. Then it says mutter, it's no problem. Maybe that's what Rashbam did it for. So Mele for the whole thing. I'll leave a few minutes for Agudah that I understood that. That's desired. Okay, so such an oilam, I want to say of a little piece here again, Minyana de Yoima, Taka Minyana de Yoima. The Agudah, the game with the Erenskite. For such an oilam, I mean an oilam that's participating in a share, that might see Shabbos or B'chlal, that wants to be Ma'ayin more, and not just be Yoitzi the Daf, as they call it, but to come with a cheshek to be an ender from Torah and to Zacharayim. And that's an Iker in Torah and the Iker in Avodas Hashem. First let me say over, just push it a Maisa that they say, there's different schars, but to me it's the same thing anyway. So it's a famous Maisa. And the Maisa is like this. The Maisa is that Chaim Shmulevitz had big gesagt that he was an Edel from the Alta from the Vardik, Yedua. His father was an Edom, about the Shmulevitz was an Edom by the Alta. And Bavrom Yafen was his uncle, who was also a Edom. And he went to the yeshiva, he went to speak to his uncle in the yeshiva in Nevardik, the main yeshiva in Bialystok in those days, there are a lot of yeshivas, but the Iki yeshiva. He asked his uncle to tell him who's the best bacha in yeshiva. So he said, the yeshiva, bacha mamish a gewaldige ilu, mamish a gewaldige kop, and the andere bacha gewaldige lamden, a different bacha he said, and a gewaldige baki, he said different milas, whatever they were. Nobody said, but you didn't tell him he's the best bacha. Uncle, so he said, the bacha in the corner, he's the best bacha. So I don't understand. You had the cup, the Ion, the Bekias, and that's the best bacha, what's shot? He said, one nusach is, the way I heard it was, he said, Abba Evil Lelnin. Another nusach is a hot asmada, which is the same thing. To me, that's the same thing. Pshat is, Abba the person, he has a cheshek in Torah. He has a cheshek. Maybe not the best head in the yeshiva. Maybe he's not the biggest lamdan or the biggest bucket or the photographic memory. But the cheshek he has. The cheshek he has. He sits and learns. And that turned out to be the Stipler. The Stipler learned in the Vardik, and it became the Stipler Taka. What's the grand amount of Stipler? The cheshek to learn. The cheshek to learn. The cheshek to learn is always the Ika, and that's the Ika Mailan Torah, is the cheshek. Minyana de Yoima, that the Zman of Chanukah, that was the whole schus of Klal Yisrael. And they say that post Chanukah was an increase in Torah Shabbal Peh. It's a mesugel for it. That's when the Mishnayos were written after the And then after the Ma'aseh of Hanukkah was the Tkuf of the Tanoim Beika. In Halacha it says like this. This is my Ha'ara in Yonei Hanukkah. It says in Halacha that the B'chaba brings down Ki Yadua Sudas of Hanukkah, Mesibas, Hanukkah parties that they call them, are Sudas Rishus. Only Purim. Purim it says Mishta V'Simcha, Hanukkah Shtetis Nishta. Okay. Ramah says, but still, Yeshua that it's a mitzvah, and he mentions because it was Chanukas Hanasiyim at that time, and then we'll explain there was also Chanukas Chashmonoim. Some people laid in the Siyim. Now we laid in the Siyim then, and Chanukas Habayis L'David. It was the Zman of the Chanukas and the Siyim. And Mamela, Chanukas HaMishkan, and it came out then, they also made a renovation, like a Chanukah, because Timur, the Beis HaMikdash, and they were Matirid, and that's why else the Indian is like a Chanukas HaBayis, like a Chanukas Sefer Torah, the Indian to have a Suda. But Mishnah Berurah brings down over there that this is based on the Medrash. The Medrash says that when was the Malachas HaMishkan Nigmar? Chafei Kislev. It began Machos Yom Kippurim, and it finished Chafei Kislev, but it wasn't put up Chafei Kislev. In Nisan, who come a Mishkan? Well, it was in Nisan. So the Medrash says after Mishnah Berurah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu said that they should wait for Nisan, Chodesh Elul by Yitzchak, and that's a different Inyan B'chlal. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Kavayachol, Olai L'Shalem L'Kislev. Have to pay back Kislev. That's why we had the Chanukas HaChashmonaim. Because Baruch Hu paid back a different Chanukah, a different chinuch. A chinuch means to renovate, to make new. They made new in the times of the Chashmonaim, the Beis HaMikdash. They re-mechadish the Avodah, re-mechadish the Tahara. The Mela Chafei Kislev was the. So it corresponds. So the Sudas for the Chanukas of the Mishkan together with the Chanukah of the Chashmonaim, which one was instead of the other, and the Mishnah Berurah, but the Medrash seems to be Masbah. That's the whole Indian. Avakasha. From just by Pashat Yediyah of Tanakh and the Chazalim, there was other times Hashem Kosh paid back way before. Chanukah took place during Bayis Sheni. Because Baruch Hu couldn't have that Chafei Kislev. Kislev is waiting. Kislev is waiting. So okay, that was the Mishkan. What about the Beis HaMikdash? There was a Bayis Sheni. The Bayis Sheni was before Chanukah. Why can Baruch Hu make it? Chafei Kislev. What's up is punkt. Chashmonoim. Chanukas HaChashmonoim is the payback. Doesn't make out the Shaila. It's a Shaila, doesn't make out the Shaila. So it sounds like it was Bezunda Chanukas HaChashmonoim. So Rabbi Meg Zogan, I would say like this. We look at the Bayis Rishon, how was it built? Shlomo Melech built the Bayis with the money left over for him from David HaMelech. And it was a draft among the Yidden. Everybody had to take a turn 1 month a year, and so it was a cycle. Everybody had to work for the Beis HaMikdash, and he even employed Goyim, Mechir Melech Tzar, employed Goyim to help him, and that's how it was built. The second Beis HaMikdash was Mamish al Pi Goyim. Went al Pi Goyim, and money from the Goyim. It was the Yidden were not in position, B'chlal at that time, to build themselves a Beis HaMikdash. They were not the whole Yidden, they're broken Yidden from Bavel. How was the Mishkan built? It said, Machas Yom Kippurim made the announcement. What happened after the announcement? It was the first appeal, and probably the last, that he made an appeal, and a few days later, they had to say, no more money. Everybody came running, and they took mamish, and the women took the jewelry of the anoshim, of the ears, and they brought it, and everybody came, whatever they had, gold, silver, and materials, and a few days. So they had to make an announcement, nobody should bring any more, because they came to Bali Malacha, but after Shazai Phil. And then they came to Oisei Malacha. So we say also, the Ramban explains there in the Psukim, who at Oisei Malacha, anybody in Mitzrayim was trained with silver, with gold, with ornaments of wood. No, not at all. They came forward and they said, they had a Nidvus Halev, the Pasuk calls it, and they said, Moshe Rabbeinu, I feel I have a talent. I want to use my talent for the Beis HaMikdash. And this one did this one that. And they all came and they used the talents inner talents that they had. They weren't trained. And That was the Nidvei Lev that came, and they wanted to build a Mishkan. The kids, it was done by Chafei Kislev with the Mesivas Nefesh. The enthusiasm, the brain of Klal Yisrael, to pay back for that with Beis Hamikdash Rishon or Beis Hamikdash Sheni would B'chal not be a tzush now. It wouldn't be a payback. It was built differently. What was the Ika Tashlumin, the appropriate Tashlumin for Kislev? Chanukas Chashmonaim. That was the similar to the Mishkan. That means that there, Chashmonayu Bonov, with whoever joined them, there were Moshe Nefesh, a handful of Chashmonaim Kiyadua, and Rabbi B'yad Matim, and Chaloshim, and Gibor B'yad Chaloshim, and they said, no, we have to be Moshe Nefesh for Torah, Moshe Nefesh for Avodah, Moshe Nefesh for Tahara and Klal Yisrael. They went with their brand, no, we're going to give all our koiches, we're going to put in, we're going to be Matzliach. Whoever joined them knew that the odds were against them. Oh, das. That's a payback for the Mishkan. In other words, the Tzushta from Chanukas HaChashmonaim, Chanukas HaMishkan is the same thing. It's the brand, the enthusiasm that HaKadosh Baruch Hu appreciated. And it comes out from the halacha, that's really the Su'udah itself, that's the Chanukah, that's what we're doing. A Chanukah Mesiba, the Mesiba, the Hallel is what we're doing, and the Nevis is for the Nes of the Chanukah, of the Nes itself. But for the bread, we make a Suda as a Chanukah, as a Mamyordik B'Simcha, of the Chanukah that they made, a Chanukah that they made with their Mesivas Nefesh. So that's a limud from Chanukah itself. That means to say, Chanukah is a time to be madlik, we call it the or in ourselves, to light our own fire. To get on fire, Chanukah. When you light the menorah, you light the or of our hearts. With a brand, with a fire, talking. Our Chanukah is the fire. To put a brand in it, a person can go to shul, and he can just walk to shul. And he can run to shul. He's supposed to run to get to Beis Hamikdash. And he comes in with a cheshuk, with a this, and he goes to get a sitter, and he's not being yotzei. He comes to the shiur, and he opens the Gemara, and everybody else is the Gemara, and he's coming with a cheshuk, and all I've been saying, I'm telling myself, Musar. I'm putting on tefillahs every day, but I can do it with say the whole yichud before, and with a geschmackheit. That's what the Avigdor is. Achmona liba boy. That is the Avigdor helfen taka. And Oilam comes taka to learn. Has the Gerechad brand. It should continue. And the mitzvah Shem, Kosh Baruch should be zufrieden from our avodah. We'll have the richtige Chanukah lost loving.
Okay, Shem next week will be at 7:45.
Say that